And I'm really excited for this talk. And yeah, we can go ahead and start sharing the slides. So hello, everyone. Welcome. I am so thrilled and so grateful to be kicking off today with you. My name is Caylan Fazio, and I'm the former chapter leader of Ohio Insulin for All in the USA. I'm also a registered yoga teacher, and I've been practicing yoga and meditation in different forms for over 6 years now. And I will say, in the US, I've been practicing in the US, which is definitely a bit of a different experience. I know this is an international call, so I just want to name that my practice and perspective is probably more Western than other people on the call. So yeah, I've also been living with insulin-dependent type 1 diabetes for over 8 years now, going on 9. And a lot of my advocacy journey and a lot of ours in general is about something deeper. It's tied to that higher call or a personal belief system or just an intrinsic value of human life. For me, much of my personal journey with advocacy is rooted in my yoga and meditation practice. So I often come back to this as a framework. But if that's not your thing, not your belief system, don't let that turn you away from this talk. Just think about your own beliefs, your own values. It's just perfect for this. So today I want to talk to you about how we can mindfully empower ourselves and our fellow advocates to be the organizers, subject matter experts, and decision makers in the Insulin for All movement. Because this, as the people with diabetes, as people with the lived experience, is who we truly are. And I want to preface this talk that it is mostly about our very personal advocacy journey, about who you are, not so much as our collective leading a chapter, organizing a group, or an organization. So that's kind of the preface for this. And I want to share with you a story of my own empowerment journey. So when I was training to become a yoga teacher, one of the first few sessions, someone asked, and this is paraphrased, a fellow student asked, so after all of this, can we just teach yoga? And our lead teacher was like, yeah, yes, you are a yoga teacher. You can just teach yoga. It's something I always come back to, that yes, that possibility. It's who you are. So now I want to draw a parallel for you. If it feels safe for you, think about the time you were diagnosed with diabetes, or just a time that you feel that you were very connected to diabetes. And instead of whatever might have jarring things people might have told you at diagnosis, what if someone told you, you are now living with diabetes. You are the expert of your own experience. You are an organizer. You are a decision maker in this access-centered movement. It's going to be hard, but you have the power to change your life and the lives of so many people around you. How would we be different if we, as people with the lived experience, were told from the very first day, day one, of our power and our possibility? So I want you to leave today telling yourself and your team that you are the decision makers. You have ownership of your personal advocacy journey. And if we could go to the next slide, please. So the title of this talk is Movement on the Ground. For me personally, I'm a very active person, and I feel the most connected when I'm expressing this physically. And I feel powerful, I feel great, I feel connected. But there's a double meaning here. And the parallel meaning is movement on the ground can also mean the actions done at our most foundational level of this movement. That means each and every individual advocate. So this is very raw. This is very unfiltered. it's not necessarily coordinated. And for our own personal advocacy journeys, it doesn't have to be. For what we do with our orgs or inside our groups, it probably should be. But movement on the ground goes outside of these coordinated actions. It means taking ownership and having your power. So why is this individualistic concept so important to group and community efforts? Well, it's also very important to the overall Insulin for All movement because we can't do it all. As organizers, leaders, we cannot do it all. We know this. There's burnout. There is skills that we might not possess. There's time availability and even location that make certain actions very difficult. So alone, we have these challenges, but when we empower ourselves and when we encourage our team to be empowered and to take ownership, there's all these other possibilities of things that we can do. And I kind of labeled a few of these, how they work together. When we have movement on the ground, when we have individuals participating, we can decentralize efforts. We have continuous momentum and community support. These are super important, but I will let you think about these later on as concepts that will benefit your group or how they'll benefit your chapters. Recognizing our own power as individuals, we can recognize other people's power too. So I want you to know that this isn't just your own practice of power, it's also encouraging your team. And we had a really awesome conversation yesterday about trauma-informed advocacy. And there's ways we can encourage people to go for it, to take on what they feel called to take on, and also to not re-traumatize people in those moments. So let's go ahead and move to the next slide. And I have set up a little guided practice for you. First, I want to name this line here: to be seen and heard, we must first see and hear. This applies to so many situations, whether it's conversations or even like legislative actions all of the things. We kind of have to turn inward to then express outward truthfully, authentically. So yeah, I will go ahead and invite you to either turn off or on your cameras. If you want to turn them on, I'm going to be right here with you. We'll do a little group thing, or turn them off and be in your own space. Do what feels right for you. So there will be a lot of silence in this practice, and that creates space. It's an important tool so that you can kind of get into your own space. All right. So let's tune into our bodies first. If you need to move, move. If you need to stretch, stretch. If you need stillness, just be still. Listen to what your body is telling you, what it needs. When I say to you, you are the organizer, you are a decision maker, and you are the owner of your own advocacy journey. What comes into your mind? What thoughts come up? And let's tune our attention now to our heart, the seat of our deeper calling. Tune into something you know. And there's something there, a very intrinsic and specific sense of purpose. And it will be unlike anybody else in this room. And dare I say, even the world. And sit with that purpose. Take a breath. Big inhale, a big exhale. Let's jump back into our slides. What came up there? I'm going to invite you to go ahead and put in the chat what came up for you. It could be a sentence or two, anything like that. You'll see that I would love to share and announce your things, but I also want to respect your privacy. So I'll announce them by your initials. So just be aware if you don't have your initials in your name, just include them in the chat. But yeah, sentence or two, what came up for you? And I will say that was, thank you. Thank you, AH. AH says, I'm very capable of caring deeply for others. LS, impactful and empowering. Did anything scary come up for anyone when we talked about calling or purpose? Was there anything big that you're like, oh, that's a lot? Do you have any of that out there? You don't have to share if you're like, oh, that's pretty big. EP says, I cannot and will not do this alone. KS, there's nothing I have to do or change or alter my sense of purpose. All our unique purposes are necessary. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. I think often about time when to think, when to try to think of nothing at all. Okay, lovely. So yeah, that was kind of like a short practice of reflection, of identifying calling, identifying purpose. And it's also very personal. And I will give you some time to sit with that. Feel free to share in the chat or, do your own journal thing. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. Where do we go from here? So this slide is intentionally left blank. Where do we find our information or inspiration? What do we do next? If something big or important or that deep sense of purpose or calling came up for you, or maybe you just need more time to sit and listen, what are the next steps for you? The slide is blank because it's up to you to decide. It's not up to us. There's no framework or structure that I could give to you to tell you about your specific purpose. Yeah. So I want to leave you today with you feeling like you have the ability to empower yourself, empower your team, and to have them join you in coordinated efforts, but also, and maybe even, I'd say, especially more importantly, to have them take ownership of their advocacy journey. As people with lived experience, this is just so important to us. And yeah, whether that's in a group setting or whether that's doing your own thing, it's great. And all of our voices are needed. All of them are welcome here. So I just want to say thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you to T1 International. I really appreciate being here with you. Yeah. Oh, and the chats, there's a lot going on in the chat. Okay, awesome. Yeah, keep it going. And then I will also drop my contact information in the chat. You're always welcome to email or message. My Twitter and Instagram is at Caylan Fazio. You can also find me on Facebook too, if that's your thing. Yeah, but if things come along in a year or two and you're like, oh, maybe I'll send an email, you're always welcome to. So feel free. Thanks.